morning. Let's make our way onto our mats and start in a comfortable upright seat. At this point in your yoga practice, coming to your mat is almost like a ritual. You understand that when you step onto the mat, you kind of put aside your thoughts, your to do lists, things prior to practice, things after practice, and you just tap into what's happening in this moment for yourself. So just take a few moments to check in with yourself mentally, emotionally, physically. And for most of us, this practice is going to be early in the morning. So this is a really great time to set an intention for your day. How do you want your day to unfold? What do you hope to gain? What do you hope to cultivate? Your intention can be, a simple word that you just bring yourself back to. It can be a thought or an idea. It can honor somebody else. We can dedicate our practice to somebody else. All of this patience, all of this self awareness, all of the strength and resilience that you build in your personal practice, you can absolutely offer all of that to someone who you feel may need it as well. So, as you're settling into your practice and your body is beginning to soften and realize that it is time for yoga, begin to smooth out the breath. So, the inhales and the exhales become equal. The body is soft. Anchor into this moment. We're going to get right into our practice this morning. So, we're going to start in a traditional tabletop, coming into a few rounds of cat cow. So, take your time to get to your tabletop. Still maintain that equal inhale and exhale. And make sure that you have your shoulders stacked over your wrists and your hips over your knees. Some people like to tuck the toes, some people like to leave them untucked, totally up to you. And then begin to link your breath with movement. So inhale, drop the navel, lift the gaze, draw the shoulder blades towards one another. And then as you exhale, you find cat pose, you round through the spine, the chin moves towards the chest. And this is one of those expressions where you want to move slowly. So often I see people just moving so quick, and one, that's going to create some injury. And two, you're not really connecting with what's going on with your breath or your body. So really focus here. Let the breath initiate the movement. Move slowly and mindfully. And maybe you notice that your body is asking for you to stay in a particular area for an extra round of breath. We've got about 2 more breath cycles here, guys. And from our tabletop, we're going to come into a downward facing dog. So tuck your toes, lift your feet, and come into your down dog. Same thing here. We're still kind of waking up the body. So very slowly start to pedal out through your feet, moving mindfully, taking a full round of breath or two on each side before switching to the other. Starting to press the weight equally between the hands as you broaden across the shoulder girdle, lengthening the spine and feeling the energy moving through you this morning. On the inhale, we're going to shift into a high plank, begin to engage the core. Keep those shoulders broad, engage the glutes, so full muscular engagement here in the body, but the breath is still steady. So we're going to continue moving dynamically. Exhale, we'll take the feet back to downward dog. And then inhale, we shift back into high plank. So now we're starting to kind of warm up through the hips and the shoulders. Keep linking breath with movement. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, high plank. We're going to do that 2 more times. Exhale, down dog. And inhale, high plank. One more. And we're going to pause here in plank pose. Really begin to focus on that heat building in the core, the strength building in our shoulders. Keep the full body muscular engaged. This is going to help. And then as we exhale, we're going to drop to our forearms and come into a forearm plank. Continuing with that core work. Make sure the elbows are under the shoulders and press into the elbows here. Broaden across the shoulder girdle. We're going to take this into a dolphin pose. I know it's early. It's going to be a pretty intense dolphin, but just keep the knees bent here. So lift your feet and start to walk your feet in towards your face. You can absolutely bend the knees for this first one, but make sure your head is free of the mat. So bring your gaze to your thumbs. Press down through your elbows, broaden across the shoulders. We're going to be here a couple more breaths. Really feeling that Agni start to build in the core. And then you're going to walk your feet back to forearm plank. And then exhale, drop the pelvis. Nothing has moved with the elbows, guys. Untuck your toes and find yourself in Sphinx pose. So pressing through the forearms, trying to lift the lower ribs off of the mat. You draw the shoulders down away from the ears and you squeeze the shoulder blades together, getting a little bend for the thoracic spine and a little compression for the lumbar spine. Hold this back bend for a couple more breaths, really trying to lift those lower ribs off the mat while maintaining the forearms on the mat. We're going to slide our palms underneath of our shoulders, come up through a tabletop, and then back to downward dog. Stretching it out, countering that back bend, and keeping the breath steady and focused. On the inhale, you're going to bend the knees, you switch your gaze, and you hop, step, or float to the front of your mat. Exhale and fold. Let's take a couple extra breaths here in this first standing forward fold. Depending on how tight your hamstrings are, you're welcome to take a little bend in the knees. And let's find ragdoll here, letting the head and neck be heavy, feeling a gentle stretch across the lower back, the outer hip. Maybe you start to straighten the legs as you get into the hamstring. And then with an inhale, you slowly roll up to standing. We reach the arms up overhead, finding extension through the body. And then exhale, hinge at the hips, the hands move towards the earth. Inhale up to a flat back. Exhale, take your left foot back, runner's lunge here. High on the ball of that back foot. Lift the hips nice and high, fingers tented. Let's continue with that core engagement. So inhale, draw the arms to frame the ears. So your torso is still parallel with the mat. So you have a nice flat spine here. Keep the torso exactly where it is. Really engage that right quad through the core. Exhale, take the arms back behind you. Squeezing the shoulder blades together. Inhale, the arms reach overhead. So we're going to move dynamically 2 more times. Exhale, the hands come back behind you. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Feel the collarbones lift. Inhale, find extension. Last time. Exhale, arms come back behind you. You squeeze the shoulders and scapula together. Inhale, the arms come back overhead. Find extension. Rotating from the pelvis, you lift up. Crescent warrior. Take a few moments to find stability here. You can leave your arms reached overhead. This is going to be the biggest challenge. You can bring your hands together at heart center for a little bit more stability and balance. But we're coming into a warrior 3. So anchor down through that standing right foot. Inhale, you lift the torso, and you find yourself in warrior 3. Keep those hip points square. Keep the hands in line with the shoulders in line with the hips, and nice, strong engagement of that standing leg. We're going to hold 3 more breaths. The slower and steady the breath is, the more balanced you're going to be. So if you're finding yourself wobbly, really slow down the breathing here. We're going to exhale and land back in Crescent Warrior. Beautiful, guys. Hands come to the earth. You take that right foot up and back, 3-legged dog. Vinyasa here, you can take a 3-legged vinyasa, a regular, you can skip it. We're going to meet in downward dog for just a breath. And then we're going to drop to the forearms and come into dolphin pose. Remember to keep your head free from the mat. So if your head is touching the mat, you need to press further into your elbows and broaden across your shoulders. You can also bring your gaze to your thumb. Walk the feet in just a little bit more. And from here, we're going to walk ourselves to a forearm plank. So you're just going to walk your feet back behind you, lower the hips so you're in that forearm plank. And then we drop the pelvis and come into Sphinx pose one more time. You can take Sphinx pose, or if you'd like to go a little bit deeper, you're going to turn your palms outward and then slide them in about a full palm's length so your elbows start to lift off the mat. And then inhale, lifting up into seal pose. This is a little bit deeper of a back bend for that lumbar spine. Keep the breath steady here. And we're going to take this back through a tabletop and then into a downward dog. So it doesn't have to be your most perfect expression here. We're just passing through. And you find yourself back in downward dog. Take a bend in the knees, switch the gaze, and hop, step, or float to the front of the mat. Exhale and fold. Take an extra forward fold breath here. And then on the inhale, you're going to roll to standing. Reach the arms up overhead, find extension through the body. And then exhale, hinge at the hips, the hands move back towards the earth. Inhale, lift to a flat back. Exhale, take that right foot back, runner's lunge. So high on the ball of that right foot, lift the hips, fingers tented here. You're going to want to shift your left hip back just a half an inch. It's probably pulling forward. That's totally normal. Just draw it back. Begin to engage your core here. Keep your torso parallel with your mat. And then inhale, draw the arms to frame the ears. Exhale, bring the hands back behind you, squeezing the scapula. Inhale, the arms come forward. Exhale, back behind you, squeeze those shoulder blades together. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, find extension. Exhale, squeeze the arms back behind you. Let's hold just one extra breath here, really drawing the shoulder blades together, feeling the front of the body expand outward. Inhale, the arms frame the ears. You rotate the pelvis, and you find yourself in Crescent Warrior. Take a couple extra breaths here to really find that stability, because we are coming up into that balancing pose. So the arms can remain overhead. This is going to be the biggest challenge. Having the hands at the heart center really helps with balance and like that center of gravity. Grounding down through the left foot, you're going to inhale, lift the right foot off the mat, and find yourself in Warrior 3 for 5 breaths. Keep those hips square. Avoid peeling that right hip open. Keep that left standing leg completely engaged. Engage the core. Slow down your breathing. One more breath. We bend that left knee. We drop the right foot. We land back in Crescent Warrior. Exhale, both hands to the earth. Take that left foot up and back. And then your choice, if you want to take vinyasa, whether it's a traditional 3-leg or skipping it completely. We're going to meet in downward dog in just a moment. And then one more time, we're coming into dolphin pose. So drop your forearms and make your way into a nice dolphin pose. Roll high on the balls of your feet. This is a trick here. So oftentimes, I know it feels easier to bend the knees, but it dumps your weight into your shoulder girdle. Straighten the legs, roll onto the balls of your feet, press through your elbows, and you'll feel yourself becoming lighter. Full muscular engagement here. Keep the breath steady. And then we're going to walk our feet behind us. So we're in a forearm plank. And then exhale, drop the pelvis. Sphinx pose. So you've got options. You can stay in Sphinx pose. You can take that seal pose where your palms turn outwards and you bring them in halfway. Or if you want to go for a really deep back bend, you can take Cobra. So if you're taking Cobra, you're going to slide your palms underneath of your shoulders and then inhale, lift the torso off the mat. Eventually the pelvis will come off the mat. The thighs are still on the mat though, so we're not doing up dog. We're taking Cobra, Sphinx, or Seal. Breathing into these back bends, whichever one you've taken. We're going to spend a little bit longer in this last one. So if you took Sphinx pose and you want to explore Seal, or Seal and you want to explore Cobra, we've got about 3 more breaths here in this back bend. And then together we're going to exhale and sit back into a wide-kneed child's pose. Countering those deep back bends, starting to stretch the outside of our hips. Coming back to these equal inhales and exhales. And very slowly from here, you're going to walk your hands under your shoulders. We're just going to transition onto our seat. And we're going to do a supine version of pigeon pose. So readjusting yourself on your mat. We're going to come all the way onto our backs here, guys. Pause for just a moment. Let the spine feel the support of the earth. Let the body soften just slightly. Come back to those equal inhales and exhales. Then we're going to slide our right ankle on top of our left knee and create a figure 4. Actively use the strength of your right quad to press your knee away. This is going to deepen into that stretch in the hip. This may be enough for you today, and you're welcome to stay here. You can take it deeper by drawing the left knee in towards the chest, reaching your hands through and over the knee or behind the thigh. Really feeling the stretch in that right hip. Keep your shoulders on the mat. Keep your head neutral. So if your chin is up towards the sky, you want to soften your neck. You can inhale, take that left foot straight up to the sky. And if you want to go really deep today, you're going to hold on to your right knee and ankle, kind of like how you would hold a baby. And then you'll straighten your left leg all the way down to the earth. This is the biggest stretch. We've got about 5 more breaths. So choose the expression that is best for you. And remember, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should or even that you have to. So just because you can take the deepest expression doesn't mean you're going to get the most benefit out of it right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. yourself out of whatever expression of supine pigeon you're in, bringing both soles of the feet to the mat, and just finding a little sway or seagrass out through the hips. And then we'll do that on the other side. So you draw the left ankle on top of the right knee. Actively use the strength of that left thigh to press the knee away. And then decide which expression of your supine pigeon is best for you in this moment and on this side of your body. Take your time to get there. There's no rush to go into the deepest version. You've got about 5 breaths here. And if you always take the deepest expression, try taking something a little bit more moderate and see how different that feels. We forget how intense or how deep the first variation can be because we always skip to the furthest. And then slowly begin to unwind from whatever expression of supine pigeon you've taken. Both soles of the feet come to the earth. Kind of sway or seagrass from side to side. You can draw your knees in towards your chest or take a happy baby if you'd like. We're going to hold the right knee into our chest and straighten the left leg towards the mat. A little bit more of like a hip and groin stretch. And then as you exhale, draw the right knee over the left side body. The gaze goes to the left. The gaze goes to the right. And you find yourself in supine twist. Begin to slow down the exhale here. Preparing your body for rest, preparing your nervous system and your mind for Shavasana. And then inhale, you come center. Hold on to the left knee and then straighten the right leg towards the mat. Drawing that knee back in towards the chest for a little bit more of a hip stretch. And then you exhale, draw the left knee to the right and the gaze goes to the left for supine twist. Inhale, you draw yourself center, taking one final happy baby or perhaps tightening yourself into a nice little ball. And then as you exhale, you surrender into Shavasana. Taking a moment to become comfortable here. Allowing your feet to be a little bit wider than your hips. Your shoulders are drawn comfortably down your back. And you tap into that rhythm of that slow, patient exhale. If you find that your mind is wandering, that's okay. Just give it a little direction. Think about your intention for your practice. Maybe it's that person you've dedicated your practice to. What about your practice today do you hope that they embody? That strength, stamina, patience, resilience, self-acceptance. Shavasana. Deep breath. You're welcome to remain here, taking Shavasana as long as your body is asking for. And then when you're ready, you gently begin to find movement back into the body, wiggling the fingers and the toes, rocking the head from side to side. Reawakening. Eventually, you roll to your side body where you just connect with this present moment, with this new version of yourself. And then when you're ready, you make your way up to a comfortable seat. You close your practice by bringing your hands together at heart center in a gesture of gratitude. And in honor of all that you are. Namaste.